Okay, guys, we are live, and we wanted to say, hey, fandom, we've got a special show for you here tonight. We have the fan episode where we're going to talk about the Charlotte FC, the newest professional sports team in the Queen City. And to join us here and to break down all of your questions, I'm sure you have questions because I have questions. We all have questions about Charlotte FC, everything that we can possibly know, at least at this time. I've got Lee and I've got JT from Charlotte FC Fan TV. So they're going to join us and kind of break this all down for us. And first of all, guys, welcome to the show. Me and my co-host here, Cowboy Joe, we're happy to have you. And everyone who's tuning in to watch us right now, thanks for doing so. If you're going to watch us on record a little bit later, that's also good too. We definitely appreciate that. Guys, first of all, welcome to the show, and talk a little bit about yourselves a little bit. Just kind of introduce us, explain to us about your website that you have as well, your YouTube channel, and what fans of Charlotte FC can appreciate through you, and kind of what you bring to the table for all of us.
Go ahead, JT. I'll let you lead it up.
I'll take that one. So basically, Lee and I are cousins, through marriage, and he's always been a huge soccer fan. He grew up in England until London area, until the age of 13, and then went from London and moved in the 80s to out near Huntersville. And there was, the only place he could ever read anything about soccer was in the USA Today little column. So just going from that to what we have now, where you can, I think ESPN just is doing a new deal with La Liga, which is the Spanish league, and Premier League is so big and all that kind of stuff. And I played soccer in high school, but after that, I didn't pay much attention to it. And with Major League Soccer, not so much either. But basically, when we heard that there was going to be a new team, Lee was all over it, and he knew about fan TVs, this new kind of media form where YouTube has allowed us, just like we're doing now, normal folk, to have a voice to be able to broadcast. And so one of Lee's arch nemesis teams in the Premier League is Arsenal. He's a big Tottenham Hotspur fan, as am I now because through Lee. But anyway, there's some cat over there in England who started Arsenal Fan TV, and it just went crazy. And he would interview fans, and still does after the games, and the entertainment value of those fans spouting off and complaining. And Lee was like, "Oh, this is so good," and they've started blossoming all over the place, thanks to YouTube. So basically, when Charlotte FC was being announced, Lee went in there and grabbed all the CLT FC Fan TV handles he could in Twitter and all over the place in YouTube. And then he contacted me and said, because I do video production for a living, and he said, "Hey, you got this idea for a fan TV. Are you down with it?" And I said, "Yeah, for sure," because it sounded like a lot of fun. I'm the fun guy, and I'm also like the newbie fan. I represent the noob.
Hold on, are you saying I'm not fun?
No. I would say I'm more fun.
Oh, okay, more fun.
Unless I'm in a bad mood. But nonetheless, it's a great dynamic because we know each other, we love each other, and his expertise in me being raised in North Carolina and just knowing enough about soccer to be able to talk about it at the same time, being a new fan. And now that the team's here, we're ready just to have a party and represent the fans in this new medium of media, because that's the most fun part, is we aren't beholden to anybody. No one's telling us who to talk to, what to talk to. And the club has been so great because they've really been they're trying to be really progressive, and they've embraced us and allowed us and treat us just like normal media. So we have both supporter section seats and we should also have press passes. So theoretically, we can go up into the box and be like the big boys, and then still come down. And that's a new thing. I'm really excited about that.
Wow, that's great, man. Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of people like myself, and I think there's also people who are, obviously more of an energized super fan than me. But I mean, and Joey can probably say the same thing. I mean, I grew up playing soccer, watching soccer. I still do. I love it. I've never been to a professional game. The game that I've been to that would be of anything would be MISL, right? What is that, minor league soccer? And you're talking about maybe 2,000-3,000 people in the stands. So nothing tremendous like what we're going to have here with Charlotte. So I consider myself somewhat of a soccer novice, not a soccer expert by any stance. And I think a lot of our fan base might be in the same boat as I am. So that's why we want to bring you on the show so that we can have questions answered. And hopefully, if I have a question about something, hopefully one of our fans also has a similar question about that. And we just kind of want to get as much information out there as we can to our fans, for everyone who's watching us live now, as well as later, just a little bit more about Charlotte FC. What can we expect? Tell us about the team, the players, because there's a whole lot that we can talk about and discuss. But I want to, first of all, I also want to say hello to Joey here. Joey, you kind of came in right at the beginning. But how are you here this evening, sir?
Pretty good, pretty well. And to just point, soccer is a new wave here, and we love it here. So. And me, I'm part Argentinian, part Italian, so that heritage ran hard with my family. But I became more of a football guy. I played soccer. I played, the recreational. I played all that stuff. But for me, it was more football than soccer. But to this day, I still cheer for any game that I see, and I still know what positions. I even coached it a little bit with little kids. So it's a fun sport. It's very enthusiastic. I love it. My kids love it, and I just can't wait for the first game here.
Yeah, being Italian and Argentinian, you had a good weekend, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm in love. This was my weekend.
Well, being English,
it was bad because I was rooting for England, though.
Yeah,
I was.
Yeah,
and because I like to go against what my family does, so I like to go a little bit more the black sheep.
Yeah. Typical Cowboys fan, right? Always going against the grain.
What was interesting on these the weekend games that we had, the big showdowns, if you want to call it the road team, but the underdog team won both games, which was interesting. But I want to get into Charlotte FC, and I know that we've already got some players that have been signed, and we'll go over these here. And I kind of want to get your opinion on these guys. Who are these guys? For the average person like myself, who doesn't really necessarily know these players from other star players in the MLS. So I want to know a little bit more about them, and just kind of how is the MLS different from, say, other leagues? We kind of talked about this off the air here beforehand, Lee.
Yeah.
How is the MLS different from other leagues? And can you talk to us a little bit about the players that Charlotte FC currently has, and maybe the direction that they're going in terms of other players that they could target?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the biggest difference between MLS and the rest of the world, if you will, right, is the salary cap. Some people like it, some people don't. I mean, if you remember the Super League, that was kind of following the same sort of principle with the MLS. Basically, I believe there's like a 4.9 million total salary for the entire team. Out of there, you get 3 DPs or designated players. Those would be your Beckhams, right, and the big stars, where the MLS itself is not paying those guys. It'll be like Charlotte FC, right, Tepper and co.
Something that Tepper would spend his own money for, correct? That's kind of what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully that's where some of that PSL money's going, that caused a big stink, since you Panthers were already kind enough to pay for it. But, we won't call it double dipping today. But yeah, so that's the gist of it, right? And then you can have up to 5 international players, right? So if you have I have international players, but one of them happens to be a DP, you kind of lose an international spot and a DP spot. So
DP, designated player.
yeah.
Okay.
Right? So like for instance, Beckham's English. He comes over to the US. He plays for Charlotte. We
Mhm.
lose a DP spot and an international spot. So we get 5 total international spots, which is kind of interesting going into the players. We got a guy named Christian Fuchs that came over from England, played for
Mhm.
Leicester, won the Premier League a couple of years ago, won the FA Cup just this past year. What's good about him is he has a green card. So they were able to get him over as a domestic player.
Aha.
So it doesn't go against our international spot. So I will say Zoran and co on the off field, behind the scenes, the ones that are pulling all these players together, they're doing a great job. I have no doubt in my mind we're going to be competitive. With that being said, they've already set the limit as we're going to make the playoffs that first season. To me, that would be awesome. Anything above the playoffs, I think is just added to the flavor. They're also talking about keeping it young. For instance, Adam Armour, he's 18 years old.
Mhm.
Actually grew up and played in Raleigh. So we got him over. And then you got another Charlottean or North Carolinian, Brant Bronico, played for the Chicago Fire. He came to Charlotte, currently on loan to the Independents, which if you guys haven't been out to the Memorial Stadium, seen a game out there, it's a good time. Nice, pretty cheap too, I'd say. Then we got our first ever player, right, was Sergio Ruiz. He's currently in Spain on loan, playing for Las Palmas, which is in the Canary Islands. So he was our very first signing. Already had some bites on him from other teams in the La Liga, which is where like Real Madrid and those kind of teams play that wanted. Not saying Real Madrid wanted him, but like somebody in that division wanted him. And we kind of smacked that hand away and said, and then, then, Riley McGree, right? He's young too. He's been over there playing in England, currently on loan at Birmingham City, from Australia, is currently representing his country in the Olympics. So he's our first player that's represented his country. People are starting to sniff around him too. And the last one is Jan. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name. I screw it up every time. So
Sobocinski, maybe something like that.
He's Polish.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sobocinski.
Yeah, so he's
That
Polish.
was the way I did it whenever I talked about him.
That's right. Yeah, so he's a Polish fellow currently playing at Los Polcos or something to that effect. LSK, I believe it is. And it's kind of hard to keep up with the Polish league because there's not really many spots unless you get like an illegal stream or something where you can watch it. Not
There's
just
like some bar in a really sketchy place or somewhere that has like the direct.
You get illegal streams, right? We do not recommend
Polish
it.
league.
So that's 6 players, right? What's the what does the roster need to be at and when?
So you have 11 on the pitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have X amount of subs. I think it's like you probably have like 8 maybe on the bench, but obviously you're not going to use all 8 players.
2022, I believe.
What's that?
About 20 to 22, I think.
Yeah, something around that. I think the whole total thing, though, like your first team, the ones that don't show up, is somewhere around 30. So I'd say we got about 24 more players at least that we're going to get, between now and kickoff, which is around February, March, just depending on how they adjust for COVID. Because this season we kind of had to push it out a little bit, right? They started a month too late. So
any notable names on the list of players that they could potentially target?
Well, I mean, Zoran has said the world is his oyster. So we shall take it as that, right? So anybody essentially could end up here. They've been really good about keeping names to themselves. We're going to have to start kind of chipping away at that and see if we can't get the rumor mill going. We've done that a couple of times. And actually, a good friend of ours, Top Ben 90, he started he thought he had a lead in on a player, and it got so big that the player himself created a meme on Instagram saying he's not coming to Charlotte.
Oh, we don't want to hear about that.
No. He's an older from Mexico. He's an older player, so
yeah,
it would have been a good name to have to sell shirts.
Yeah, right.
That point, the exciting thing is, we haven't used any of those DPs yet. We have the richest, owner in MLS, and we are the only team this year in this super draft or however that works. We got first dibs on the best of the best. We got a lot of cash, and we haven't even started to use it yet. But things are just going to start happening so quick because, I mean, February, March is going to get here real fast, and things are going to happen real fast. So it's a real exciting time as they build the whole culture of the team too. And the culture is hand in hand with the fans, because what people don't realize, and what I didn't realize and have come to realize, is that soccer fandom is much more hand in hand with the team itself, as opposed to when you're in a stadium at a Panthers game, it's directed and the halftime show and all that kind of stuff. But during a soccer game, they are very dependent on the fans creating the mood, creating the action. They are the literal cheerleaders. They don't look as good, or not, but it's just on a different level. And to tap into that so many people already know around the world, but us Southern boys down here don't know it too well. And then to mix that Southern boy charm of tailgating and Bojangles in with that international fandom, it's going to be a party. It's going to be so great, and that's what excites me so much. I mean, we can talk about the players and all that kind of stuff, but the idea of soccer being, exactly the 90 minutes plus or minus, not minus, but plus, it's like there is no overtime unless it's one of the tournament games or something. But it's like from this point to this point, it is on, and Tepper himself has said that. He wants to have a practice of the march in and the parties, talking about giving away free beer in fall just to get things going. But the idea that the soccer experience is unlike baseball, but unlike football, it is its own thing.
Yeah.
And man, it's a party. And then when you add that to the Southern tailgating tradition, I am super excited.
Well, I mean, Southerners can do college football pretty well. Hopefully,
that's what I'm saying. You mix the college football tailgating and Bojangles and copious amounts of Coors Light with, international soccer. It's great.
Hey, you have free beer, so.
Yeah. Hey, that's another thing. I mean, I might have to get a free beer at some point.
No, man, that's great, and I'm totally looking forward to that. I can't wait to see what kind of environment is created as a result of everything. We just hired a coach, right? Yes. We just hired a coach, Miguel Ramirez. He's out of Spain. What can you guys tell us about him? Is he someone that was even on the radar? Was he a surprise hire? I don't really know too much about him. So what can you tell us about the coach?
Yeah, so he's Spanish. He's 36. Yes, he wasn't one that was on the radar, but if you kind of read like The Athletic and that sort of thing, he's kind of the manager you want that was unknown, if that makes any sense, right? So he comes with accolades and that sort of thing. He actually is from where he started out his career. I believe it was like U14s, where Sergio is playing right now at Las Palmas. So he's from the Canary Islands himself.
Oh, so there's got that familiarity then with him.
Yeah. So he kind of hovered around the academy for a while, right? He did the under 14s. He did a stint in Greece. I think he got in Greece. That was when they were getting hit real hard financially. So then he took off and went to Qatar. From Qatar, some things happened, and he kind of fell into the head coach role or the manager role. From there, he went to Ecuador, where he took a team that was kind of unknown and actually won the South American version of the UEFA Cup, which, those fans love him.
That was a good. I've seen him coach there, and he coached that team very well.
Yeah, I mean, he did very well with a limited budget, which kind of goes into line with the MLS, right? And then from there, he spent 3 months in Brazil, where the Brazilian fans, being as fickle as they are, like 3 months later, he was let go, but he left with like a 50% winning record. So, in my opinion, just like everything else the club's doing, it's young, potential. It's going to be exciting. And, I guess come game day will be when we really find out what he's made of.
Yeah, he's really. It reminds me of the younger coach movement in the NFL too. It seems to have that feel. He has a style that is much more entertaining. And what would you call it, Lee? They like to push the ball more. I don't even
They like to press, right? They like possession. So
Yeah.
as soon as they lose the ball, they push from the forwards back, right? We defend up top versus
Right.
defending at the back, right? And then when we get the ball, it's all about possession, short passes, the triangles, right? You just kind of play it around instead of just lofting the ball and that kind of stuff. So
it's the Real Madrid and the Barcelona type soccer that he's bringing. He's bringing that pass first, and get open gates and then just go through.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're familiar with Manchester City, he not only looks like Pep Guardiola, he also his tactics are just as similar. So possession based.
And to the U14 point, the one way to be very successful in the MLS is to really grow your own players, just like you would anywhere. But it's so important how the academy works with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And he, to the point of bringing that Ecuadorian team, as far as they got to win the championship, he really knows how to work with what he's got and how to help the younger players flourish. And he also being young, he's checking all the boxes as far as I can tell with what we want. But here's the asterisk caveat: is most people are predicting he'll be gone in 3 years either way. Either he doesn't do what he's supposed to do and he's out, or he does really well and then he goes over to Europe, back to La Liga or somewhere else. We are definitely a stepping stone of some sort. But hey, starting off a new team, starting the culture, the type of play, it seems great. So
but the one other good thing, and I'll call this out about him, is he was brought up in the European style of football or soccer, right? Did his head coaching, he started off in South America. So we get that nice blend of European knowledge plus the South American knowledge. And if we could pull that together, the sky's the limit. I'm excited. It was a good, the more I read about him, the more excited I am for the team and seeing what he does.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I just want to give you guys another plug here as far as your YouTube show. If you're not following them already, please go ahead and do that at Charlotte FC Fan TV. That's CLT FC Fan TV. That's JT and Lee. And you can also find their YouTube channel as well. So you can learn more about, what they have to say in terms of just kind of what we're talking about here, getting the fan base ready and prepared for our upcoming team, which the entire city of Charlotte, I think, is looking forward to. And of course, the soccer heads are definitely looking forward to it. What about, I mean, they don't even have their uniforms. Their kits, as they say, right, in soccer. I'm hearing November for that. Is that correct? Any thoughts from you about that so far? I mean, if I'm a fan, that's what I want, man. I want that jersey. I want I want to have that memorabilia there. So, I mean, what can we possibly expect or look for in terms of that? Are we going to have like 3 different types of uniforms? If you can, just talk a little bit more about the uniforms and when they're coming.
Yeah, so the club announced November, which is typical, right, for new seasons. They normally come out a couple of months before the season starts, because every year they change it up, so you buy a new kit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Normally you have 2. You have your home and away, right, for matching colors, same as NFL, if you will. You may get 3, but that's at the MLS discretion. How they're going to look is anybody's guess. I'm kind of hoping they go with that blue that you see in the flag here, or the scarf.
Yeah.
I just think it stands out. I like seeing the Panthers playing that too. That color just kind of pops in the stadium.
Yeah, blue and black shorts, kind of what we saw Argentina with, right? I was thinking that when I'm looking at their uniform, or no, it was Italy. Italy's blue and black, I think they were this past weekend. I'm looking forward to it, definitely.
They'll definitely have a big logo like this on the front. So
there's definitely going to be Ally right on the front.
On the front, yeah.
I mean, we don't know the colors for sure. I mean, just looking at the academy team, right? They're black and white. I'm kind of hoping that we do the black and blue, You know,
Yeah.
because
I think Tepper will keep it black and blue because just following his Panthers, following just the city of Charlotte. The Hornets were also sky blue, so
it hides the cut too, right, over the white shirts.
Exactly.
What I am interested in, though, they have, just as far as thinking about what it could be, you could have the home white and the away blue, whatever it would be. But then if there's a special one, some people, there's been chatter about giving a little homage to our NASCAR tradition around here and doing some sort of race flag checkerboard. Because I always thought the Croatian national team always had something going with that red and white checker.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, man.
Arena dog food, though.
hey, chuck wagon, whatever. Dogs got to eat, don't they, Lee? Dogs got to eat. That's it. The Purina, I love it. Oh, they got their dog. They got their dog kits on today.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any idea on television rights? Can we stream games? I mean, how's that going to go down? Do you have any idea on that?
I'm pretty sure they don't have any streaming deals yet. But one thing that I was super excited about, and has they've made a lot of deals with local broadcasters who are literally broadcasting on antennas, so you could see it just like you can see WSOC Channel 9 through Hulu. You can also get Channel 9 over an antenna. So I forget who they actually have to deal with, but they've made
WSOC TV and
it is SOC. Yeah. They made a deal with them. So I love the idea that you don't have to have a subscription to anything. You just have to have a digital cable TV and an antenna, and you can watch all their games. And that's gonna be awesome. And in Raleigh and Columbia and Charleston, and I don't know, I haven't heard the latest on but that's the idea, is that they're broadcastable everywhere, and then you can probably stream through some service. Definitely whatever the MLS package is, I'm sure you could get it. But the key is here in Charlotte, no blackouts, and you literally don't even have to have a subscription to anything to see.
Wow, that's great. That is super. Shoot, what was the question I was going to ask you? Oh, the season. How many home games are there in an MLS season?
17.
17?
So
okay.
You're guaranteed at least 17 games, right? And if you get the season tickets, I think they throw in one more in there. So 18 total is kind of what you get. I'm assuming they can use that extra ticket as their discretion. I'm hoping it's for a playoff game. Mm-hmm. But, the flip side of that is we don't know if we're going to make the playoffs. So it'd be interesting to see how they do that, if they're going to use it as a preseason game or if they're going to throw it in as at the end of the deal at the end of the season.
Hey,
I love that number.
Can you talk a little bit more about that fan section that you were telling me earlier about off the air? Where you can't sit down, you're just standing all the time. What was that you mentioned?
Supporter section.
Oh yeah, the supporter section.
The supporter section, yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's
if I'm the average fan, I'm going to the game. What should I expect? That kind of thing.
The supporter section's in the end zone.
Okay.
And technically they're the cheapest seats as it goes. But yeah, that is where, and this, Lee can speak to it more too, but as far as I understand it, that's where all the true action is in the fan. That's where the drums are. That's where the flares are. That's where all the
craziness.
And the idea that you would bring your mother-in-law. Yeah. But the idea that you bring your mother-in-law to a game because she's in town or something.
You don't want to take her there.
A good thing, but you're going to have to stand up the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And literally you could sit down, but you'll be looking at everyone's asses in front of you because everyone's going to be standing up the whole time. So that is where, and to that point that is the support, the cheerleader section. That they are bringing the atmosphere. That drum is playing, the sound of the fan and stuff. And the funny thing is, though, they've developed. They had a animation of the new stadium and how it was going to look. And one of the biggest things is the supporters, the fans are supposed to, do this march from Romare Bearden Park or wherever, and they're marching like a parade down to go in. But once they go in, they've developed it so that you can go in super fast and somehow it's going to be like going to a wedding that has all the at the reception already has glasses of wine already set out. They're going to have this bar that the fans can come in and they don't have to sit there and line up and wait for a long time. They can get beer super fast. That's the type of stuff I'm curious about. It's like, how fast can that beer really come to my hand?
I want to have one of them super fans on the show here. I want to meet one of those guys who's going crazy, holding the banner up like this, and just banging the drum.
Just tune into CLTFC Fan TV after every game, home games especially.
Yeah,
and we'll be there live on the scene and talking to those fans. So yeah, that's definitely something we want to represent as well.
Oh, you're going to catch me in there.
Yeah. Well, find a show and we'll throw a mic in front of your face.
Yeah. You'll be able to find
it. Mosh pit.
It'll be obvious where we are outside at the end of the games.
Nice.
So basically, we're not going to see the what we heard of really early on in the Panthers' arrival into the NFL, the wine and cheese crowd. We don't want to see that in the soccer stadium here for this. I guess that's what you're saying.
That's why they're called the Charlotte FC and not the Carolina Panthers. Because how those UNC Carolina fans are.
Yeah. That being said, though, some of the prices on the more premium seats kind of cater to the wine and cheese crowd, right? So
that's why they have the suites.
Yeah. Hey, there's going to be plenty of wine and cheese around, but not in the supporter section.
That's right, man.
Sure. Is that supporter section going to be right behind the goal?
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God, I can't wait.
So I know, man.
Opposing goalies, beware.
Yeah.
I'm totally looking forward to it. I can't wait to go to a game.
It's going to be lit. I'm excited too.
That's cool. So, shoot, I guess if we're the fan base right now, or if people are watching this, they're part of the fan base, what can we do? What's the biggest need right now that, let's say, Charlotte FC wants or needs from their fans? How can we help? How can you guys help? How can any of us kind of help and build that up and kind of give them what they want?
Yeah, so I would say, it's not going to come natural, right? Mm-hmm. Anything forced isn't the way of soccer or football, or whatever we're calling it, right? It comes natural. There's plenty of supporters groups out there. The biggest one in Charlotte would be the Mint City Collective. They've got chapters all over North Carolina. You got then there's like Mint Street Mafia. They're also out of Charlotte. Obviously Mint Street. You got a couple of other ones in Charlotte. You got the Queen's Firm that's trying to get together. So there's plenty of these.
Shout them all out, Lee. Queen City Royals.
Yeah, Queen City Royals. And then I'm getting there. And then in South Carolina, you got the Southbound and Crown guys. So they're just over the border. They're starting to create some chapters over in like Greenville and that sort of thing. And what the club's doing is they're giving these guys like I don't want to say a set of rules, but a set of criteria to be an official supporters group. And what they're doing is, as they joined, they're creating a supporters group council. So in this council, what they're supposed to do is get together and kind of develop some of that game day atmosphere and that sort of thing. So it's the club's way of us funneling through, to a smaller group, which then goes straight to the club, which then also offsets this new position that they just opened, the chief fan officer, which is supposed to be the go-between the team and the fans, right? So that CFO will actually be taking raw information, whatever we're bitching about out here in the public, straight to Nick Kelly, president of Charlotte. So there's going to be it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And I think Nick listens to what we have to say. It might not get implemented right away. It may not get implemented at all, but he seems to at least have an ear to the ground and really listening to what we're complaining about or enjoying.
And Nick has a marketing background. He comes from
that helps. That
marketing helps. And beer. So that's a good combination. But yeah, so he really knows. And one thing I've been really excited about, the club continues to push the idea of being progressive and doing things differently and setting just like one thing, you want to get Nick Kelly happy about something, ask him about the locker room. Because like the locker room they've developed, it's like the best world-class locker room for anyone. It's got the craziest LED, whatever. It's just, excuse my, it's the tits, man. It's the best there is. and that's part of it too, is the whole culture. And one thing that I'm so excited about doing this with Lee is that, you got the supporters groups, people like yourselves who are kind of on the fringe, your everyday fan, your next fan, and we're in the position to be, the media for those fan groups. One of the things I'm looking forward to the most is on away games, being invited to certain places that people are watching the game. Bars, so be it, but I'm interested in people's garages. And we did an episode in our boy Z's treehouse, which is a phenomenal, crazy treehouse in South Charlotte. But stuff like that, I mean, in the culture of that, I can't wait to be during away games to be hanging out in someone's garage that he's turned into like the ultimate man cave, cheering on Charlotte FC. I just love it.
Oh man, totally looking forward to it. When's 2022 coming? It can't come soon enough. So after the Panthers finish their season is pretty much when this thing's going to kick off, essentially, or pretty close to it, right?
So about 7 to 8 months, man. And
not much further. Any more knowledge on when other players might be signed? Is there a certain time, date, limit that they have to have their roster by?
Well, obviously before kickoff, but
right.
Just messing with you. I mean, the biggest thing for us is
I'm just curious, what's next? What's the next big thing that's going to come down the pike? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so there may be one or two that show up between now and then, but I think the biggest thing for us is going to be like JG alluded to earlier, the super draft, the expansion draft, and that sort of thing. So, now we got the coach. He'll be able to sit down and talk with Zoran and co. And determine the next steps, right? Where we're going to go with this. And so I'm sure they've got a big pool of players already. It's just a matter of going through these guys, figuring out who's available and who we can get.
I have a question. Would they do any local tryouts? Just to have just an open tryout?
I wouldn't say a open tryout. I mean, when people have asked that, they basically said like, "Hey, we'll send our scouts out, or send us in some video clips of that sort of thing." But the closest, I guess, to local tryouts would be more at the academy level.
Okay.
Because they're reaching out across all the Carolinas, right? They're going to certain parts. Yeah. They're having those clubs or those local clubs kind of spotlight some of their star players, and then scouts look them out and see if they're worthwhile or not.
Yeah, and they have special like 1-day camps and stuff, and there's a whole grassroots level. But that brings up another point. One thing that's so great about Charlotte FC is that they have the region. They can tap into both North Carolina and South Carolina, and technically Southern Virginia some too. And there's a ton of great soccer players in these two states. And you look at California, which is a huge state, but still they have 3 teams, I believe. That's right. Mm-hmm. And they have to break up. You can't really come in and poach the 15-year-old from Sacramento. I mean, you theoretically, I guess you kind of could, but you wouldn't know about him as much. So we have a ton of fertile ground.
Yeah, a lot of soccer talent in the ACC.
Well, just in North Carolina in general, just last night, Belucio's from Greensboro, 19 years old, had his first start for the USA men's team.
Yeah, and he was on Sporting KC, is that right?
That's right. And then we got our friend of the show and everything that we interviewed. What's his name? I forget his name. Am I drawing a blank? I had it. Who did we interview? I forget his name. Tell me, JT.
Sporting KC. Oh shoot.
Wow. I'm a blank. That's terrible. So embarrassing.
You qualify with friend of the show.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show.
He was. Well, that's
Lindsay.
What's his name? Do it one more time.
Jalen Lindsay. He's from Charlotte.
That's right.
He went out to. Sorry, Jalen, if you ever watch this, buddy. Man, I had your name on the tip of my tongue. I talked too much. I forgot it. So,
we love
because it's a live show, Jalen.
All right.
But it is interesting though the trying to figure out where the connections are. So there is someone from Charlotte who is in Kansas City, and one thing I want to say is the MLS players, they're so great to talk to so far. It's not I don't feel this air like I would assume talking to some NFL players or something.
Yeah.
But it's just a great community.
It's different.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. Any specific player that would be eligible for that expansion draft that you would like to see?
Man, I don't know. I mean,
It's kind of an expansive list or field of players, I imagine, right?
yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, right? So the clubs can say, right, this guy's not available. This guy's not available. You pick I think it's each team is to pick 13 players that are not eligible for the draft, and then if you got a player taken from you from the previous draft, you get skipped this time. So, there's, and then it comes into the homegrown protective players and that sort of thing too.
Is Charlotte the only team that in the expansion for this coming up year? They are, right?
We were going to join with Austin. We're going to move forward with this season, and we pushed ours back a year.
Got it.
That was one silver lining of COVID and everything, is that we had the expansion draft all to ourselves. But
I think long term it'd probably be better too.
Yeah. But the thing, I was wanting to plug us again one more time. We did an episode, if you go to our page, called Soccer 201. We did a Soccer 101, which is like the basic kind of stuff of soccer. But then we did a Soccer 201 with one of or a couple of our friends of the show, and had a great slide presentation. Caleb, you rocked it, and it is very confusing on how it all works in the MLS. Because like Lee was saying there too earlier, the MLS itself controls a lot more of what the teams do than it would be in Major League Baseball or NFL. It's much more of a collective than it is. And if you want to, it's like a 55-minute episode. It is. We go deep into everything. So anyone out there that really wants to know, watch that Soccer 201 CLTFC Fan TV. Because
PhD and
I know I have to watch it again over and over just to figure out what's going on. But yeah, it's confusing. But we're gonna figure it out. I know that.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for my 13-year-old. He's been asking me this, texting me this. Ask the guys what's the youngest age for the youth league for him to join? He's 13 now.
Yeah. So with us being so new, we have the U15s, U17s, which are playing up. The goal is, I believe, to get down to the U12s at some point.
Nice.
Here, I think they're going to kind of start pushing out. Like
he just made his day.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I forget what Dan said. We interviewed the academy manager not too long ago, and he said they're going to grow, but the problem is they can't do it all at once, right? It's got to grow out. So, they got a good program over there for sure.
Yeah, they are full board. I mean, even they just hired a new assistant coach today, and one of the best things on his resume was his history of working with the youth teams and everything like that.
And that goes all the way up to our head coach too, right? I mean, his original platform was the academy, so it's going to be really interesting.
Oh man, we can't wait. Absolutely can't wait for it to all come to fruition here, and
it's coming.
It's coming, right? It's coming, and you guys are a huge part of it, and we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, people who are watching this were able to get something out of it. I know I was, so I definitely appreciate that. And if you're looking for more information or detailed background, I guess, on an MLS, on your Soccer 201, that's going to be on your website, on your YouTube channel. And that's CLTFC Fan TV, right?
That's
so check that out, guys. All right, great. Joey, any finishing thoughts for you here for these guys?
All I want is Tepper to go and use one of those DP on Neymar. Pay him $4 million to get over here.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine? I mean, I don't know about Neymar's not touching that, but
not anytime soon.
No, right?
You got the older players. You got the Argentine Agueros, the Di Marias that are already in their twilight of their career. Maybe want to come down here.
Yeah.
No,
I'd take
Miami. So
yeah,
I would take Christian Pulisic, right? Oh man, he'd be great.
We can all wish.
Something will happen. There'll be I mean, it might not be this season, but at some point, to the point of the older players retiring and whatever. there'll be some exciting names coming through Charlotte.
Just think about it, right? Messi's kind of been linked with Miami.
Yeah.
Miami's in the Eastern Division. We're going to have to play them at home once. Messi's going to be here in Charlotte playing at the Bank of America Stadium. Not
Oh,
forced,
man, we
you
could
know.
wish.
No, we got to get him here to play every game here. So we got to
And
push our way in.
I want Ronaldo.
Oh,
oh,
Ronaldo.
man.
We're
If you
shooting.
get Ronaldo, my son will be there every game.
He's going to be there every game anyways, right? Standing beside you.
Oh, yes. Oh,
All right, supporter section.
we're going to go there.
And it's not
Maybe-
necessarily the big
maybe-
names coming in. It's also the ones that will create,
Oh,
right?
100%.
The young talent that will come in and will surprise us.
Well, that's the whole goal of
Mhm.
Charlotte, right? They said they're going to be funneling through the youth. So, so far, so good.
Cool.
Yeah. And hey, everyone out there, look for us. Once it actually happens, before the game, we will be obvious and around. Because when you see a big man on a little motor scooter, you're going to know. And at the end of the game, we're going to be right outside the stadium main gates doing live interviews with people and stuff. So come up to us, say what's up. We love it.
Awesome.
Oh,
Great,
definitely.
man. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show and kind of explaining a little bit more about you and giving our audience a taste of what's coming. And we're looking forward to it. I know I am. Cowboy Joe is. I think a lot of people in Charlotte are excited about the possibility of what's happening, and they just don't know exactly what is happening. Right? They're caught up in the moment. So,
Yeah.
hopefully this was a better way to kind of explain that and get some questions answered. And we appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank
You
for
are
having us.
you're definitely two people that I want to know in this environment. So thank you.
Charlotte.
Hey, the only thing I want to know is if Cowboy Joe's middle name is Sucks.
You know what?
Oh,
I'm sorry, Joe. Hey, listen, we'll hug it out next time we see each other. Big man to big man.
Hey, I get that from the fandom all the time. So
I know.
oh
Thanks
boy.
for having us.
Hey, he owns it. He owns it.
yep, I own it. I love it.
Yeah.
On that note, well, thanks again, guys. Again, check out their YouTube channel, CLTFC Fan TV. Oh yeah,
Love it.
I love it. Yep, awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys.
I appreciate
And I'm sure we'll be talking in the future, especially as this thing gets closer. And if we'll set up another episode where we can talk more about this, especially if there's more information known. Maybe when the uniforms come out, or something big drops, you guys will be the first people that we'll reach out to for sure. So,
Perfect.
thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Great. Thanks.
Absolutely.